In my experience, one of the things that stops qualified candidates from being accepted into these top colleges is the Common App essay, or whatever essay you're using to write your personal statement for. As I mentioned before in my previous videos, I think that the Common App essay is the most important part of your entire application, but it's also something that gets pretty overlooked in the process because when students are going to their college applications for the first time, they aren't going to have had too much experience writing these personal narratives up to this point, so they won't really know how to go about that process. So then they end up writing bad essays. And for a lot of students, this might be their first time ever really writing a personal statement, so it's normal to feel kind of lost in this process. But with that said, it's really important that you nail the head on this essay because the Common App essay or your personal statement kind of forms the foundation of your college application overall. And so you could be the most qualified, the coolest student ever with the best test scores and the best extracurricular activities, but if you don't have good essays, if you don't have a good Common App essay, a good personal statement, you might not get accepted into the college that you want. I think it would be fair to say that a good essay can make your application, while a bad essay can break your application. And of course, your goal here is to get accepted into the colleges that you're applying to, so you should try to write the best essay that you possibly can. And since you're someone who has never really had to write a personal statement before, you may not know exactly what goes into a good essay like this, and so you might have already started writing your college essay and you might have run into difficulties trying to figure out what you want to say, and so your essay in its current form is not the best that it could be, and it isn't really turning out the way that you wanted it to. And that's where I come in. Last time I shared the essay that I wrote for my Common App essay, which I'll try to link in one of the corners if you haven't seen it already. And as I said at the end of that video, today I'll be walking you guys through the process of how I wrote my Common App essay to kind of give you guys an idea of how you might want to write your own. And just to note, there are essentially an endless number of ways for you to go about writing your Common App essay. Mine isn't this one perfect example that you have to follow, and there isn't really a predefined template for how to go about writing a good Common App essay. There are an infinite number of ways you could go about doing that, but I only know what I know based on how I wrote my Common App essay, so that's the process I'm going to share with you guys today. And so just know that you don't have to follow my essay to a T. You can just take the parts that you like and kind of format it to your own story, but the important thing is that you just get your message across. This essay is just one example, and plenty of people have had successful essays written in completely different styles, so just bear this in mind when you're trying to figure out how you want to write your own essay. For the Common App essay, you're given a list of, I think, 7 or 8 prompts that you can choose from for writing your essay. And honestly, the prompt you choose doesn't matter like at all. I think the last prompt even lets you just write about any topic that you want. So feel free to pick any topic that they have, because at the end of the day, the important thing is the essay itself, not whichever prompt you're choosing to answer. And this is because if we think about the role of the Common App essay, it's really to just tell a story about yourself. So this means that the essay is really just a vehicle for you to tell some story about yourself that reveals something about you that you can't really get at in other parts of your application. It's somewhere where you can really tell this kind of personal story, this personal narrative about something that's important to you and really helps shape who you are as a person, and is a story that reveals some sort of trait or personality characteristic or just anything about you that you think is really important for these colleges to know about you. And so this means that the success of your essay doesn't depend on how well you're able to answer the prompt, but rather how well you're able to get this message across about who you are as a person and how well you're able to tell that story to whoever ends up reading your application. And to make this message crystal clear in your essay, I propose a 3-act structure. This format is going to follow pretty closely to something that you might read in your English classes, where you have this 3-act structure that is divided into a beginning, a middle, and an end. And the way I like to think about it is your essay is trying to tell some story about yourself in a way that shows like your growth as a person. So a really nice way to do that is to focus on some kind of story that shows some kind of change that you went through. And so if we're trying to tell the story about this change that you went through and fit it into this 3-act structure, we can format it so that the beginning tells the story about what you were like before you went through this change. The middle can talk about the change itself and kind of like your thought processes and kind of just like how you dealt with this change. And the end can talk about what you're like after you went through this change, how this change affected your growth as a person, what you're like now, and what kind of person you hope to become in the future. And looking at the structure, it presents a clear divide between like you before and you after this event or change or whatever episode you're telling a story about. And so it offers a really nice opportunity for you to present like your growth as a person, which is really nice for telling the story about yourself in your college applications. And so, in my own essay, where I was telling the story about my experiences studying abroad in South Korea and how my relationship with my host brother helped me grow as a person, I started with the before, where I was talking about what I was like before I went on this study abroad experience. The middle kind of talks about myself during that study abroad and like the experiences I had and how I started to change there. And then the end talked about what I'm like now and what I learned from that experience, and also how I want to continue growing in the future. So, beginning, middle, and end wraps it all pretty nicely. The reason why I really like this format for the Common App essay is that it offers a really nice chance to talk about this change that you went through and how you grew from it. And it also gives you a chance to show how you're able to learn and reflect from the experiences that you have, which are all things that are really good for trying to show your candidacy for a university, and kind of just show that you're a person who can learn and grow from the experiences you're having, which, is kind of the whole point of college. And like I said earlier, this format is really just one possible route that you can take out of many. There are an endless number of ways to write your Common App essay, and at the end of the day, the important thing is that you're able to just get your message across, whatever that message may be. As long as you're able to write your Common App essay such that whoever's reading your application can clearly see the message you're trying to convey, then you've got a successful college essay on your hands. And so you might not follow this format to a T, but hopefully it can give you some ideas to help you push forward in writing your own college essays. And to all you high school seniors who are currently working on your college applications, I wish you the best of luck. If you're interested in hearing some advice on how to go about writing your supplemental essays, check out this video here, or feel free to check out any of the other great videos I have on my channel.